I might wriggle a bit because I had to put, after having a second fall 2 days ago, which I think most of you know about, I slightly twisted my foot rather than my ankle, and it started coming up and swelling. And I found if I didn't put my legs up, it gets swollen by nighttime. So anyway, so that's, I don't know why I said to record when I did. I suddenly decided to say that. Anyway, so what I thought I'd talk about today just for a few minutes. Oh no, I was going to start with a little meditation because we're going to do pendulum theme thing to begin with at least. And so I thought we could do that little thing of just being quiet and thinking about the diagram of the pendulum and where the calm is, and just seeing if you can keep yourself image or feeling wise in the calm of the pendulum, or move closer to the calm of the pendulum, whatever feels the right thing. I'm going to do work. Oh yes, it is working. Sorry, I was talking to my clock. Delete. Okay, 2 minutes. Just take a deep breath and get comfy where you are. And then when you feel ready, shut your eyes and just think about the diagram of the pendulum. Maybe if you're visual and you can see pictures, just watch the needle, let the, not needle, the pendulum. Oh, perhaps everyone should mute themselves, and I will when I stop talking. It's just so helpful in meditation if it's quiet. And yeah, so just imagine the pendulum swaying slightly and just find out where you're starting. Where's your pendulum when you're starting this meditation? And then just see if you can edge it to the calm, and just let that image be what you go back to if you have thoughts coming in. Okay, I'm going to start the clock and my muting. One more minute. If thoughts are distracting you, don't let that, don't feel bad about that. Just accept where you are, but just see if you can gently push them away and come back to the idea of the calm. Okay, that's it. So Cecil's just said she might be late. That's fine. I better just answer her so she knows that's okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's start with just going around and saying what happened in the meditation, if you were able to see the diagram. Don't, oh, here she is, that's great. On what we're doing. So welcome, Cease. We just did a 2-minute meditation, just imagining where we were on the pendulum and seeing if we could move the image closer to the calm. So I was definitely on the low side of the calm, but not that far away from the center. And I think it maybe went a little closer to the calm during the meditation. Nicky, do you want to go next?
You are unmuted.
Thank you. Very good idea to do this, by the way. So it helped a bit. I'm in a bit of a unusual, fairly unusual for me. In a bit of a sort of it's called an unpleasant high. A little bit, just lots of intense different bits and bobs kind of thing. So it gives a bit of an unpleasant high. So lots of people with a lot of frenzied sort of things going on that I'm dealing with. So yeah, it was hard to get away from that sensation, but it's helped a little bit. Thank you.
Cynthia?
Well, I've been a bit of a low, and so I think I found myself resisting a little. It was a little hard to pay attention because there's a meeting going on out there, so when we were quiet, I could hear it. But I was able to sort of set that aside. But I was resisting a little bit because I'm like, I'm so tired, and I've been having a lot of health issues and stuff. But then I said, well, it's just calm. I don't have to get high. I don't have to get excited. I just have to get calm. And then I was able to picture sunlight, and it moved to like, at least I don't know if it moved me to the calm, but it moved me to a happier place. So.
Nice. Tamara?
I've been in a very unpleasant high, is that what we call it? If there's a feeling of chaotic.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Crashing around. I feel like a bat that got inside a small room and trying to find my way out.
Like a bat, did you say?
Yeah, that kind of, agitated. Yeah, no peace of mind or body right now. And in fact, just the suggestion of bringing attention to the idea of pendulum, and then I just saw, that sweet spot to either side of pure, like plumb calm, and that's that and the sound of other people's voices, and I began to feel like I wasn't going to hurt myself if I just sat still for a moment. So I have been kind of so I'm glad we did this exercise. Yeah, for me that worked nicely.
Right. Elizabeth?
I can tell that I'm not quite in a full high, but very prone to highs. Like anything could knock me into one. Right now. And I can tell because I'm feeling that physiologically, even though my mind isn't racing. It's always the first sign is when my heart starts going. During the meditation, I was able to bring myself to the calm, but when the meditation ended, I could feel my heart start to kick up just that little bit.
Okay, thank you. And Cease, I don't know if you had heard what we're doing, or if you have. Anyway, you can. If
Can you hear me?
Want, yes, yeah. If you want to, you could just say where you think your pendulum is right now. If you came after the
I'd say
meditation.
it's pretty calm. I'm ended up having to take my dog for a walk right now. So, but it's very nice outside here, and it feels very calm. It's kind of one of those cloudy days that are calm, and it's about 70 degrees. So it just feels very nice and soothing. And so I'm feeling better physically. So that's kind of
great.
helping me feel calm.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in. Oh, I think I'm
Someone
doing
else
pretty
came.
well.
Great. I'm so glad to hear you're feeling a bit better physically.
Yeah.
So you missed me saying I was going to talk a bit about, just for a few minutes, like I often do on these things, talk a bit about pendulum management, because some of us were at the virtual Pellin in Italy, half of us, in fact, and Peter structures it to be coming down on the last day, so we're not ending in a high, but warned us, you know, although it seems quiet, doing 3 hours group and deep work and watching other people's deep work for 3 hours for 5 days in a row is actually intense. And so it's almost like a kind of hidden high. I don't know if Nicky would agree with that description, but you don't feel excited, but it's so intense that it's a sort of high. And so the warning is that you might feel a bit low afterwards. And I didn't feel low after Pellin Italy 1. So I kind of wasn't expecting it. And then I had over, I don't know which days it was, but out of the last few days, you know, I had maybe 3 of the last 5 days, if that's the right number of days, where I had a bit of actually feeling a slight low in the stomach. That's how slight lows get me. One way they get me is I kind of feel sad in my tummy. And when I feel really bad, in a deep low, I feel like really bad in my tummy and really tense as well as sad. But a slight low, I don't think that's the same for everybody. A slight low for me is a little bit of sadness, not that uncomfortable. You know, for me in the old days, that always meant if you felt anything there, and if I felt anything there in my stomach, I was going to go into a deep low and I wouldn't be able to get out of it. And now I have more confidence after all the years of going to 12-step meetings and having Pellin tools and Al-Anon tools. I feel more confident it's not going to stay around all day, and that's what happened. And then today, I didn't feel too bad, but I noticed that yesterday and the day before, I think I started deciding to worry about money, and today I started deciding to worry about whether it would be all right for me to go to LA in February for a few days, because my friends here need me every day, really. And I started thinking, can I even do that? And then, so here's where the pendulum management comes in. So, I forgot one bit, which was that on Sunday, I thought I really need some true rest. And I did that thing we do with true rest. I ignored it. I just said, I've got too much to do. And I didn't take notice. And I do think that if I'd said, okay, afternoon off, you know, if anyone wants to come in with a comment or a question, by the way, that's fine. Afternoon off, drop everything. I might not have had the slight lows in my tummy, which came after me ignoring the true rest. So I'm just throwing that in. And then, so then this morning, I thought, oh yes, I've forgotten something. So yesterday, we suddenly didn't have anybody to bring packages over the border for nativity. So so I'm holding my hands out for those of you on the phones, because it's like every now and then my stomach decided to go, oh my God, I'm going to get really anxious about this. And so that's a little high in the slight low, is going, oh, I'm going to get really anxious about this. And but I took action steps. I posted on Rosary to Living. I found a third person. I found out the other two weren't going to go again before Christmas to help me with parcels. I found a third person, complete stranger, who let me use his mailbox. And then we go to Amazon, and it was a big rush to. I had to do it last night when I didn't want to, because otherwise they wouldn't get there in time. All like that. So using the pendulum, I was noticing I was kind of slipping into anxiety things. And this morning was when I was thinking about, can I really go away in February? And I went, I'm slipping right into the future. I don't have to think about that now. And I thought, well, the way things come up in the low, that's a good thing to evaluate, but I don't have to evaluate it while I know I'm off center. I can just remember, I should discuss whether that's going to be okay, because it's not too late for me to cancel if I thought I really needed to. And what else did I do for pendulum management? Oh, yes. So I don't usually share this, but I'm going to share it in the, sorry to people on the phone, you won't be able to see it, but I'll describe it. I'm going to share it as using it as a tool for the pendulum. It's one of my collage cards, and I pick a card every day. And as soon as I pick this card, it's a peacock with sitting on a branch in a misty forest. You can just see the one tree and branch, and it's completely misty. You know how silent it gets when it's foggy or misty, and the peacock has its tail feathers completely down straight. And it's just waiting. So immediately I saw that card, I thought, oh, that's my low. It's not very deep, is it? I'm just sitting quietly, you know, inside. I'm feeling like I don't really want to do anything very much. And if I imagine that I'm that bird just looking around, not showing any of my performance feathers, you know, of my tail is very, very folded up. And I just meditated, which sadly I don't do normally, but I meditated, pretending to be the bird in the trees that was looking at the mist, and how still and silent that would be. And I really got into the calm, and much more than when we did the meditation just now. And I was really kind of restored, because, you know, when I saw the pendulum diagram, what side, this side for you looking at me, it was just underneath. So it was in a place, it was just underneath the center, I mean. So it was in a place where if I made the right decisions, like, you know, I had to take the dog, but I thought that's good anyway, because it's sunny here today and I can see the waves, you know, and yes, I should have stopped and meditated, and I let myself be in the picture rather than have lots of thoughts. And, you know, and now I'm okay, you know, I'm probably a bit low. One other thing I wanted to mention was this whole time I've been here, when I've been so busy and so active, I've done something on purpose. Every time I go out in the car to go shopping, I have a rather mournful chant that I play on repeat. And I feel a bit low, not to the sense of being sad in my stomach, but just a bit inward. And I've been very conscious I've done that for 9 months. I've played the same song whenever I'm out. And it just takes me out of all the busyness, you know, that little transition between leaving the home and going into the shop, and then same going back the other way, and just going, oh yes, this makes me feel a little bit sad. Oh yes, in a nice way, I feel a bit sad. So I was using that eventually quite consciously to rest from all the outward, pushing out all the energy with all the things I was doing. So, and the last thing I wanted to say was just, now that my emotional swings don't have me by the throat, it's Stacey, it's really nice to be able to have the distance to say, what tool do I need? how can I'll just say what I'm doing, Stacey. I'm just doing a little talk about pendulum management, having been in a little bit of a low after Pellin Virtual Italy 2. Oh, and I'll just end with this funny little story about what happened in my acting class. So I'd really wanted to completely learn the lines of the beginning of my show, relearn them, because I did know them once. You get 6 minutes in the acting class. And I hadn't had time. I'd spent about 10 minutes on it. I knew I didn't know them properly. And that made me feel a bit down, you know, because I'd wanted to, I mean, I don't know how connected. I don't know if it was the reason, but I was feeling a bit down and that didn't help me. Let's put it like that. So I waited through the whole class and I thought, this feels really hard. And then I did my little piece and went back to feeling quite, I remembered half of it and glanced at the script for the other 3 minutes. And then you have feedback. And this is the feedback I got. Oh, Mary, you've come such a long way since I first saw you do that. You're so confident. It's so funny. I was feeling, it wasn't stage fright. I was just, oh, can I do this from this low place? And they said, oh, you're so confident, so relaxed now, you know. And it was so funny. But it was nice, you know, because I didn't have that when I was younger. My moods were so extreme, I couldn't put on a face that other people accepted, you know, and now I'm able to, you know, I'm a very transparent person. I don't really hide on purpose, but I had to perform my piece because that was what my duty was. And it didn't really show. So that's, yes, so, sorry, I keep saying the last thing I want to say. I keep remembering these little thoughts I had this morning. I remember when I picked this morning out of my cards, Stacey, this peacock in a misty forest, and I used it to meditate on, and it helped bring me out just part into the calm. And I remember I've said to some of you, when you can feel calm, it's like going to the bank. It's like putting money in the bank. Sorry, it's like putting money in the bank, because I really felt that this morning. I wasn't in a really nice place, but when I got that indication, oh, you need to meditate on this picture because this is going to take you into the calm, I could do it partly because I knew I had calm in the bank. I knew what feeling calm felt like. I knew that thinking about that stillness when it's misty and imagining trees around me and nothing, no sound and no moving creatures, I knew that would take me into the calm. So why I'm saying that to end with is when we're in more extreme swings, we don't necessarily feel a strong benefit in the present. I've been able to tell you a little story about being just under the calm so I could move into the calm, and then it had another little difficult bit, but I could keep moving in and out of being okay. When it's more extreme, you can't, because when your feelings have you by the throat, you're stuck in the swing, whichever direction it is, or in the swinging, because you can go from stuck in a low to stuck in anxiety to back to feeling, you know, withdrawn. But nudging yourself towards the center works over time, and it's working even when you don't feel the benefit emotionally. It is working. If you maybe what Elizabeth said is a good example of that. Her heart went back to being a little beating a bit fast, and when she knows that makes her vulnerable to sudden pendulum highs, but she did get to the calm. So yes, Elizabeth, please.
No,
You're not
sorry, I
unmuted.
was gesturing at my daughter. Sorry.
Oh, it was a good imitation, putting your hand up. Okay. Anyway, so I will stop there after all the false starts of saying I was going to stop. Did anything come to mind for people about their own experience of trying to get to the calm or calming down? Anybody want to come in with anything?
You are unmuted.
I've got some things to say,
Yeah, please.
but kind of because I'm so different to you, Mary, from my starting out point in life. It was just everything was suppressed, so sort of natural starting point was calm. So now I don't think of the pendulum much. Anyway, when you were talking, it made me think, well, what helps me more? And I thought, actually, it's part of the tool, the wheel of change. I'm not trying to change the subject, I'll come back to it, which is sharing, listening, feedback, learning, and action. Action is my absolutely trailing behind aspect of all of that. But sharing, which is a thing I started out in life not being able to do, and now I really can. And that's the thing that helps. So sort of quickly talking out my agitation, because that's the sort of unpleasant bit of a high I've got now, which has tended to be the thing all year, on and off all year, because how my year's been is this sort of slightly frenzied, slightly just agitated thing. And yeah, and which is sort of caused by two things. I've got clients materializing from like 10 years ago with obviously big, sudden, unexpected things happening to them, and then other people having a telephone hacked, and it's like, what is all this suddenly crazy stuff? Everybody's got sudden things whacking them from out of the blue, and then it's all a bit frenzied inside of me because it's all too sort of dense and quick, unexpected. This is me doing a quick bit of sharing about it, and then little things in my life is a different kind of style from that, but it's more practical things like random, but it's still the same random problematic things like my curtains fell down. That's really like, and then all the little trickle along ramifications of that. Then you have to, go to the shop, find out that's a mistake to go on a Sunday during kind of lockdown restrictions because there's a massive queue, come back, go back again another day, work out the way to make it not light in the mornings, in the meanwhile stick magazines on the windows, like just thing after thing, go back to the shop, buy 2 different rails because I don't know which is the right one, still haven't managed to put it up yet. Meanwhile, get back, parking permits run out because there's a whole new system. We used to get this very civilized, old-fashioned system. You get a letter in the mail, tells you, and then you send it off, and then you could make a phone call. It used to be lovely, and now it's all techno hell. And then it's like, find it out because I've got a parking ticket, but then I could get another one. It's like there's nowhere around here nowadays to park as well, that you don't need a permit. So then what do I do in the meeting? So then I got my car jammed in by my neighbour. So that took away my opportunity. There was a sunny period on Tuesday, I think that was only yesterday, where I had a plan where I was going to properly do something to look after my pendulum, and then I'm trapped because the car's trapped. And meanwhile, I'm in techno hell trying to get a permit. Have got now. Anyway, long story, but what was I trying to say? The thing that would have helped, that helps my pendulum, is actually, now I think of it as a different way of saying it, is sharing, journaling, writing it down, the intricacies, all the little ants in my head. That's how I think of it. Don't have to share it to other people. Just write it down. It really follows all the bits of strings out of my head, and I'm relieved. It really calms me down. And of course, I've been deprived of that a lot this year because I like to do that in cafes, and I've had all this extra practical stuff to do as well. Might have lost the point here, Mary, about what I'm trying to do. Can you remind me of what I'm trying to do?
You just did it because you said, oh dear, I've got an echo. Anyway, you said you have that plan yesterday. I don't like having an echo.
Mm.
Is it there for everyone else?
No, you just got an echo of
I can-
yourself.
I can
I can hear the echo.
Oh, I know. If everyone else mutes themselves, it might go away. Has it? Yes. No. I might have to leave.
Shall I mute myself and we'll see?
Okay,
that.
try that.
I wonder if.
What about-
Oh,
What about, I think it is Nicky, because now I'm not echoing now. So I'll just make my point and then
Yes.
Nicky can come back.
Yes, it's better.
So you hadn't lost the point, was all I was trying to say. Sorry about the technology. Because you said you had a plan to deal with the ants in your brain by going out in the sunshine and finding somewhere to journal, and then you were frustrated in that plan. So you were on track, Nicky. The only thing I was going to say was, if it comes up, if anyone wants to ask a question about the wheel of change because you rushed through it, but don't worry about that now. Just go back to what you were saying because you were on track with the pendulum.
You are unmuted.
Thank you. Now say something so we find out if you've got an echo.
Unmute
Mary.
it to see if I've got an echo. And I have.
Yes, you've got an. Okay, I'll hang up and I'll call back in. Just
okay.
talk
We'll
amongst
try
yourselves.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Well, while Nicky's gone, oh, now she's gone. I haven't got an echo. Yeah, just be thinking if you've got any questions or contributions you want to make about your own pendulum, because it's interesting, Nicky, being so different from me, because it's very it's different emotional experiences, it's different tactics, not always different. Going out in the sunshine works for me too, but it's good to remember everyone's pendulum is really different. Yeah. Do you want to start? But Nicky might want to finish up when she comes back. But go ahead, Cynthia. Start.
okay. I'm wondering if I need to get some true rest or do something nourishing. And like today, and I guess I'm feeling a hard time because I'm feeling very guilty because I wasted an incredible amount of time this morning. Somehow I got into the YouTube vortex watching a thing on some YouTubes on the kings of England from the Saxons all the way through Queen Elizabeth. And then I thought, but that really wasn't all that nourishing, although it did make the political machinations of today seem much less worrisome.
So let me just ask you to stop just a minute so we can do the technical test.
Okay.
Nicky, unmute. Want to unmute Nicky and see if it echoes.
So I'm unmuted now. You say something, Mary.
And I'm echoing. I'm not echoing. Yay! Nicky,
Okay, great.
What a technical solution. So I just
okay,
wondered if you wanted to, Elizabeth.
I'll mute myself again, okay, so that you can carry on.
No, I was only going to say, if you wanted to finish up, then Cynthia came in while we were waiting for you with something.
Oh, okay. No, let Cynthia, because I'm really interested. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of what Cynthia said. So
she
is
can
there
say
a quick reboot?
Yeah, of course.
I realized I was in a low today. This morning I started again last night, I think. But I just ended up just sitting, even though I've got like a ton of things that I have to do. I ended up spending the morning watching, going into the YouTube vortex, binge watching a series on the monarchs of England from the Saxons to Queen Elizabeth II. And I don't know how I got on that. Of course, it did calm me in the sense it makes the political machinations that are happening today seem quite tame and quaint. So that was a good thing, seeing the historical perspective. But I don't think it was all that nourishing. I don't think that was true rest. But I wonder if that's a signal that I do need some true rest, and which is a little hard to do because I'm feeling guilty because I wasted the morning. But I'm wondering if that might help me get somewhere. I mean, and Mary was talking about Christmas. I cannot get myself ready to do Christmas gifts. I mean, it's like getting closer and closer, and I just can't make myself do it. I don't know what's going on. I did put some Christmas decorations out, but I just did the bare minimum, and I found like a little Christmas tree I used to have in my old office, and my spouse got some lights for it, and we didn't put up even the smaller 4-foot tree that we usually do. It's just, I don't know. I'm semi getting work done. I'm like doing it the very bare minimum, but I think the health issues I've been having are just one of them. I'm having horrible dry skin, so I'm itchy all the time, which is very wearing. But and what else? It
Well,
could be the holidays, but it's just this. I need. And my work keeps piling up, and I'm like getting it done at this very slow pace, and enough to keep people off my back, but it's still, I don't know. Anyways, that's where I'm at, but I'm wondering if some intentional true rest for something that I know will be nourishing might be what I need to do right now. So anyways, that's, I guess, about it.
that's a great question. I'm going to ask Elizabeth to say something first because she had her hand up.
Well, knowing you, Cynthia, if you're thinking that you are wondering if you might need true rest, you desperately need it now. And that's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah, I was laughing because the three, Elizabeth, Cynthia, and I have been friends for a long time. And so I knew what Elizabeth was going to say. That's why I was laughing. And I think, I don't know if you want to come in, Nicky, about true rest in a minute, but I think it's one of those, I think Peter said at Virtual Pen in Italy that there's a relationship between true rest and attraction to herd. There's something very strange in how compelling it is when you get it, and how compelling it can be to not do it. And what I thought when you were speaking, Cynthia, was it reminded me of the little rule I made for myself. It's actually hard if I don't feel completely overwhelmed, but I made a rule for myself. If I'm so overwhelmed I don't know what to do, I have to go to an Al-Anon meeting. That's my responsibility, to go to an Al-Anon meeting, because they always calm me down. Listening to other people takes me out of myself. And that's such a huge relief. I don't know if we can find something similar for you, because if you make what I found anyway was making a rule like that. If I'm so overwhelmed I can't do anything, oh yes, I've got my little escape plan. I go to Al-Anon meeting and I always get something done that day, even if it's not 10 things. Always, if I go to a meeting, I'm talking about when it used to be face to face, but I think it would work the same now. Then it just brings down the pendulum enough for me to do something afterwards. I suppose it is a form of true rest because it's away from my daily responsibilities, because I've jettisoned them on purpose. So that's one, not a suggestion, but a process, that thinking, oh good, I can't do it. If I can't do anything at all, oh good, I have to do something nice for myself because I can't do anything. And that's not what we normally think. We normally, escape, like you did a bit with the history thing, and then feel worse because there's even more things undone. But for me, that worked anyway.
I'm thinking I may want to, my thought was I'd play a little bit of a game in Japanese and maybe do some that usually, I mean, that could also get into a spiral, but I think I haven't done that in a long time. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do as soon as, we're done here and before I try to deal with my tasks.
I think that's a good idea, but I think it might be a good idea to set up how you then can't do it for the whole evening.
I actually, right now, I'm in a spot in the game where they're very, I'm like trying to finish up all the little mini quests. So I could just do a couple mini quests and then be done. I'm not caught up in the story right now because I have to, Elizabeth will know what I'm talking about. I don't know if anybody will, but I have to level up before I can actually go on with the rest of the story. So I'm doing all the little side quests. So those have little finite beginnings and ends. So.
Sounds perfect.
And you know, it's funny, I don't get, now that I'm doing it in Japanese, I don't know, maybe it's because it's more nourishing for me. I don't get into what I used to get into when I used to do it in English, where I just play the whole day away. I seem to be, I don't know what it is about it, but I seem to be much better able to do a little bit and to be disciplined about it rather than waste the whole day with it. So hopefully that will hold.
A little bit of that might be that it's self-limiting due to cognitive effort. Like one of my big forms of true rest is I go on a walk with my earbuds in and my music playing, and that is self-limiting because I can only walk so far. So I'm wondering if something similar might be happening with playing in Japanese for you.
It could be. I'm getting to the point where I can mostly understand it, and and I'm fine just ignoring what I don't understand unless I have to. and even then I can go to the little manual and figure things out, which the manual's in Japanese too, because the English version is a different version. But I used to do that in English too when I got stuck. So yeah, I think it should be okay. And I also think it's more nourishing for me. I really do. I think doing anything in Japanese is more nourishing, and I haven't done much of that. So
Well,
that's another
that
place.
brings in purpose, doesn't it? There isn't a purpose element in other than superficial purpose of enjoying the game when it's in English. But when you're playing a game that has some Japanese words in it, then you're feeding into your Japanese learning purpose. So that makes it more. I was thinking that might be what the nourishment is, as well as the nourishment of the Japanese culture. Anybody else want to come in with anything? Pendulum or True Rest or Wheel of Change? We're bringing a few tools in. Nikki, you got any
Can you hear
follow-up
me?
thoughts? Oh, we can now, Cease.
Can you
Go
hear me?
ahead. We can now.
I only have 10%. I only have 10% left on my battery, so I'll just quit. I think ever since I've started getting better from the surgery and being hospitalized, I've just feeling so much better has made me appreciate life so much. Now that might wear off at some point, but just realizing I had a close brush and could have died, and that I'm just appreciating. If I was playing a game for hours, that would be great right now, or driving a car, or playing. Just being alive feels really good now, and doing stuff with friends online or Zoom. We've got lots of different things we do, so that's even icing on the cake, as they say. I'm not feeling exactly what I call high, but I feel comfortable high, and just realizing that breathing is good. All that stuff, that you take for granted. And I guess that's been a lesson that I've had this, I don't know whether I've said this before, but kind of a fantasy I was going to live forever. I guess everybody has some of that. And it's not true. But when it comes really close, it feels super scary. And so it just makes me go back and appreciate what I do have. So that's where I am now, feeling good, interested in learning more things. Yeah, that had kind of dropped out for a while, learning new things. So it feels easier to handle, and being over the election was a good thing too. A lot of tension with that is gone. So I don't know where that puts me as far as the pendulum, but I would say kind of middle high, but it's very pleasant.
Mm, that sounds really nice.
Very pleasant. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was only going to say, I think I can unconsciously give the impression of the extreme highs being, or extreme lows, as though they're all negative, because it was so difficult for me to work my way out of swinging from one to the other. But, you know, Peter was reminding us in virtual Pellin, Italy, I think it might have been a forum, but somewhere he was reminding us about, you know, there are things that you get in the extreme ends of the pendulum you don't find in other places. And it is really important not to treat it as some kind of moral stick with which to beat ourselves, but just to, you know, to remember what we're looking at is, are we hurting ourselves or others with it? And so I suppose I'm picking up on almost felt like you were saying, I wonder if it's all right to be high, and but I'm not too high, and the answer is yeah, it is all right to be high, and you know, visiting the extremes of the pendulum without getting stuck on them doesn't tend to hurt other people or yourself, I think. I'm very happy to hear you. That's so nice to have that feeling of enjoying being alive.
Mm-hmm. And just appreciating that if I do get low, that there's things I can do about it. I think that was part of it before. Those things seemed out of my control, like my health or the elections or what was the COVID. That's what, and so if I have these things where I do have some control that I can do, that's very uplifting for me. Yeah, it's when it feels like there's nothing to be done that gets really depressing. But I'm not in that place now, so that's good.
Tomorrow, Stacey, do you want to come in with anything? Fine if you don't.
Is Tamara still there?
Yeah,
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, I'm doing my Roman thing again. I actually think this is good, and I hope this takes for everyone. It's just learning as we lie on cushions. But oh, there seems to be so much there seems to be I think that I would describe the swinging is that I begin to build, I begin to build like with twigs maybe on wet sand, and a wave comes in and takes it away, washes whatever that is that I've begun, washes it away. And then I start somewhere else. And this feeling I have now of stepping back just enough with the dispassionate, a little bit of a detachment, so that I feel just sad for the toeholds that I make that don't lead to the next step and then the next one. And realizing that my sadness is more for what doesn't take on shape enough for me to feel like I'm in better shape this month than last month. You know, I haven't had a feeling of forward progression for countless years. It's been a terrible, discontinuous experience of time and myself. And I have to believe that I'm beginning to land now with some perspective, because I can describe this now to you and put this into words for myself, which is that it would seem, I'm not sure what the problem is, if I'm building the wrong place again and again, or if part of what it means is that I can watch something get washed away, but not feel that I've been washed away, and just wait and see if I can not, if I can hang on to the idea of what I'm doing. And then, like the little spider, my grandfather used to sing that song about the itsy bitsy spider. But even expecting the waves, I mean, if I'm in wet sand, it means that a wave is coming. So is there any way to just be in some kind of flow where it's not as if it's for the first time every time a wave comes in and I lose my first little attempts at something? And can I go back? Is it foolishness, or is it right to just keep going back there and to build again? So I'm trying, I think, to understand that there's been no success for far, far too long. And maybe bringing my curiosity to the process, like you've said, Mary, which is to try not to get caught in the content. And I would say also the emotion, but to wonder about what this cycle, if there's any way to make small changes. But I feel sad.
Nikki, can you mute for a minute because we've got the echo back?
Yeah, for
You are unmuted.
Sorry,
no problem.
I was muted and unmuted the opposite way around to what I thought. What did you ask me to do, Mary?
No, I just asked you to mute because the echo came back.
Oh, sorry. I thought, okay, I'll mute again now. Sorry, I thought I was all the time.
Nikki's chosen a man to be her servant.
Nikki's technical has anyway. Go ahead, tomorrow.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't, the feeling of accomplishment, small feelings of accomplishment, I think could start to, like you said, Marion, describing sometimes what it takes in a day to get one instead of 10 things done, but to keep chipping away with less of this kid that just feels like crying because somebody took away everything that I was trying to make hold. So that's where I am. I'm in a place where I have the beginnings of enough things that I care about, that I'm beginning to feel a sense of proprietorship and wanting to bring in protections and to just Boy, I don't know what it is. It feels like it's almost as if I'm coming in and asking what has been going on the last 16 years as an adult, and asking the child what's been happening, and hearing her distress and confusion, and hoping that I'll be able to connect the islands and begin to create something that is, you know, under my feet and then gets washed away, but that I also know where I can go back and step again, and that will be under my feet again if I have enough faith. So maybe I'm talking about habits, maybe relying on some good habits of returning to the work and not feeling like I am failed. And each time I need to make a transition and bring my focus to something else.
You
Yeah,
are unmuted.
I don't have that. Much more to say.
Nicky,
Can I
did-
make a
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
little comment about that? I was struck earlier in that Tamara, you used the phrase toeholds, and I thought then about, I don't know if you said at that point small feelings of accomplishment. I know you said it later, and I thought, no, that's the tool that would be of use here. That's what you're talking about. You know, I am making a little footprint here, and it gets washed away, and but it is there because I am achieving small feelings of accomplishment. And just to say a bit about that tool, the emphasis is on two words, one small and two feelings of. So it's not about an actual accomplishment. Accomplishment is something else, actually, what we might, I guess it's within the wheel of change on action, and we accomplish things. But the tool of small feelings of accomplishment is about for our emotional help. So it's, if I have the feeling of having accomplished something, it just notches us up a tiny bit from a low or an unpleasant high or low into a bit more into the calm. It's like a feeling of accomplishment. And the smaller the better in a way, because then it's like, because if you have too big a one, it's unrealistic, isn't it? There's no sort of ground on which to stand, but actually a really small one. And then that can, I find, if I get a small, and I think I learned to sort of recognize that feeling now. It's, a small feeling of accomplishment. It immediately helps me to do a next thing. Sometimes I have trouble, mail comes in several days in a row, and it's not like it's scary mail or anything. I just can't open the mail. And then when it's done, and I do the thing of oh damn, I've forgotten the name of the tool that I use now that I said it about last time. I think the one that I can never remember, Mary. What is it? Not pushing myself. That thing.
Rejected effort.
Yeah, not creating rejected efforts. I automatically now think, okay, if I don't feel like opening mail, I'm not going to create a rejected effort. And then a few days go by, and I leave it in a disrespectful pile on the floor where I have to keep walking over it. That helps as well. And then I sort of trip over it a bit a few days later, and just one of them, I just think, I could just, literally, if I don't think of opening one and seeing what's in it, but literally just bend over and then just with the intent of just tearing it along. Now, I secretly know now, I know myself, that gives me a small feeling of accomplishment that enables me then to take the mail out of the envelope. But I don't expect that of myself now. I know it's like, no, I'm just going to tear it along. And hey, presto, there's that small feeling of accomplishment. And then I can do the next one. And then that gives me another feeling of accomplishment. And it's always not scary mail. And I think, there's not a problem. Then I can tear another one, and then I'll do all of them all of a sudden. but really, it's ridiculous, tiny little emotional steps up. I guess for me, it's an age-old thing about the world outside of myself. So the male represents the world outside of myself coming in, and that's a threatening thing. So I'm just like, ooh, can't let the world come in. So that's just my kind of example, but link it back to that thing, the conceptual one of the sensation of, okay, these conceptual idea of putting twigs together or whatever it is in the water, and then it gets washed away. Yeah, but that's that feeling of, what was that? What was the word that you said? Did I repeat it? Toe holds. You're making a little toe hold. And even though, and it is like that, if you walk along a sandy beach, you do make a little toe hold in the beach, and the wave comes along and it washes away. But there is a little bit of a toe hold there that there wasn't there before. So then if you just step in it again, you just keep stepping in it. I think it will be, the idea is that it be a little bit cumulative and not worry about the bigger picture at all. That's how I open all the mail, because I have got absolutely no intention of opening any mail when I tear that first envelope across.
Yes.
And that's what enables me to do the next one, and then I do the next one. And I know, I promise myself, I know I will stop. At any point I feel a bit of resistance, it's like, no, I stop. I've opened 3 and there might have been 5 there, Well, it's just a random order. They get left, because it's about my feelings I put first.
Yeah. I think I realize that it.
Hang on, Nikki, you need to mute as soon as you're not talking.
Okay, sorry.
There's some part of me that the adult, I think, that's come to join is not making allowances for me dragging myself too far, kicking and screaming, that it's like I need to stop and just be with wherever I am, but that there's an introduction of the idea now of kindness that is something I can't really shake off. I feel like there's just a lower tolerance now. There's less callousing. I don't want as much callousing. And that somehow this also fits into me being able to attend to the small.
So can I go back to your metaphor?
Sure.
So what came to me when you were talking about the metaphor of the little twigs, that then the big wave came in, and I didn't realize at first, then something you said, I think, means it's coming from the outside, right? The big wave. And so what came to me was, I think what Nicky said is very helpful, and this might be a little bit related, because what came to me, just staying within the metaphor, was one, I thought it was really, I really liked it when you said, oh, there's a little bit of difference. So you could see what was happening. It sounded like before it was just like complete chaos, and a little bit of trying to make progress and washed away, a little bit of trying to make progress, washed away. So I think that's huge. I think that's why I'm staying within the metaphor, because I think having a metaphor that makes clear to you, that clarifies the emotional chaos, like I'm almost in tears. I think that's such a great, I was going to say starting point. I don't know what exactly. It's just a platform from which you can see something that you were submerged by before. So I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
I was going to say about you staying within the image, that each time the twigs are created into a little structure or whatever it is, however you see it, you're developing emotional muscle memory. That's some of what I was getting at about putting money in the bank, you've got calm in the bank. When you're not calm, if you've had the experience, you can draw on those memory links. That's what I was getting at with my card. I knew it would have a powerful effect because I had some calm in the bank, so I could draw it. So this is similar. So you're still getting muscle memory of making little bits of progress, even if they're washed away. And the fact that you've got the distance to look at that happening means that you're already building a bit of safety because you can see it. And so you can create a different viewing platform from just being submerged by it.
Mhm.
And also I was thinking about the rock that got covered with sand that I tripped over for my second fall last week. Underneath sand, there's sometimes rock. And I was, because I thought foundation first. And then I thought one thing that's different is finding, you know, like me finding Pellin and then later on in life finding Alanon, you know, finding things that can build a foundation that add weight to the little twigs we're trying to work with, because now they've got a meaning, they've got a form, and you've got this foundation was the word that kept coming, that, you know, it's felt like since you first found Pellin that Pellin could be a foundation and, you know, give you that. It's what's one of the things that's so great about Pellin when we're intelligent human beings that like to think about how people work is there's the simplicity of the tools. I'm just laughing because Stacey's being audibly kissed by her dog. But Nicky, I just tell you that's what the funny sound is. What was the sentence I was just going to finish up? I completely distracted myself with the dog.
You were saying that the foundation of Pellin can be like a rock. That's
and the simplicity of the tools,
yeah.
like it's showed so clearly in what that wonderful example that Nicky gave. I think that's such a great explanation of how you know, can say all costs I must avoid, in Nicky's case, at all costs I must avoid a rejected effort. And so I'm not even going to think I'm going to end up opening the post, even though I secretly know it sometimes works, and I sometimes do. So there's that, there's, you know, how you can use the tools is so, you know, can be simple, but it's intellectually stimulating as well. You know, it has, I feel, you know, like you having taken that path to get a license, you study all sorts of other things. And a lot of them are intellectually stimulating. You know, Melanie Klein's intellectually stimulating. Is she a lot of use in day-to-day dealings with clients? I'd rather stick with the pendulum feelings of accomplishment, etc., for helping people's real lives. So that's, you know, I'm saying this in terms of the foundation, because Pellin can give you a foundation where you can sharpen your wits on the intelligence of the tools, and you can work at that muscle memory of all these, your emotional relationship to these practical tools. And it will, Nick is so right in her visit to the metaphor of saying the water washes it away, but there's still a bit of an impression, still a bit of a toe hold, and you can put your toe back in again. I think that's very powerful in that metaphor too.
You are unmuted.
Can I comment on that?
Absolutely.
Because I'm struck by your concept of muscle memory, Mary. I've never thought of it like that, but of course in another way, what you're talking about there is the conscious and really deliberate creating of new little memory links. Repeat. That's what that building of that muscle memory is, isn't it? So even though it's like, okay, yes, I can make a toe hold, and look, I can make a toe hold, and look, I can still make a toe hold. I can repeatedly make a toe hold. Eventually, that's going to become, isn't it? There's kind of no choice that eventually it's going to be a toe hold that pulls you further along, you know. Or I can make a pile of sticks, and it's not just floating away as one stick. You're creating a pile so that you're going to be able to create them further up the beach in the future, you know. And then once you get to further up the beach, you'll already know to create piles of sticks. This is just the metaphorical stuff. So anyway, I was just really taken with that. It's a muscle memory. It's another way, like a memory link is a muscle memory in the brain, isn't it?
Mm.
Yes. But the memory is also divided by the narrative. So what I've noticed is with attraction to hurt, which is I'm riddled with this attraction to hurt. It's Lordy, I mean the little tendrily roots are everywhere in me. It's sort of like I feel like getting somebody to, you know, get thee out. I need like a what do you call that when you're possessed?
An exorcism?
Thank you. Yeah, get this fucker out. But it's my thinky brain. It's not been working for me for a long time. So the sense that I've made has been, you see, it got washed away again. That's a failure. And so it feeds into the muscle, which is a negative memory link. So just to reframe, which is what we're doing here, that it's like, oh, you did that and you can do that again. You can do that further up the beach. Of course, the wave comes in and takes it away. That's not what's wrong with life. It's just bringing some reason, some common sense, and a different language with some tools that help with that, that can start to bust up some of the bullshit. I mean, this is bullshit. I mean, this is what I'm dealing with is unbroken years of really just bullshit running the show.
So, well, at the moment, one thing in the basic metaphor that you created is at the moment, there's a kind of complicity in
Yes.
that you're building the twigs near on the wet sand
Mhm,
where the wave's going to come in. So
mhm.
just in terms of the emotional benefit of the metaphor,
Yes.
Nicky raised, and I was thinking too, that you do have a choice to build the sticks further away from
Exactly.
the invading wave. And that's one of the, without saying anything about what's underneath the metaphor, that is one of the issues you're dealing with. And what we're saying really is you can make progress within where you are, but seeing what choices that you have in terms of
You are unmuted.
protective callousing and creating distance and so on, that those are choices that can exist when you're ready for them, like Nicky not trying to open the post. That's not her goal to open the post. Her goal is not to have rejected it.
We're getting the echo again.
That's because I was unmuted. Can I just make my comment and then
Yes.
I'll mute myself again? Something about the added bit, just to finish off about Tamara's metaphor, is about making conscious the attraction to hurt of the voice that says whatever it was about, no, see, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, whatever that is, instead of, so that you challenge that, so that, and then that will help the positive referrals to have a bit more strength. Okay, so what's eating away at those positive memory links that you're making is the attraction to hurt that comes in and goes, see, it's all just rubbish or whatever it is. So it's like, yeah, I've said it, haven't I? It's just making conscious, no, that is an attraction to hurt voice.
Yeah. I think Ray, it's
Sorry.
I'm in the swing of the pendulum with anything that I begin. So when I start with the sticks, when I'm starting, and then I start to build something, I am sort of blindly, probably too much in a positive high, where I don't imagine that anything will come to, cause this pendulum to swing the other way. And sure enough, life happens and things aren't the way I picture it.
from over here because it's denial. And so when of course another wave comes and takes the sticks away, I'm absolutely shocked every time, as if it's the first time. It's like I don't know that that's just the nature of this undertaking. This has been true for 16 years.
You are unmuted.
So that's the thing about that time. I seem to be able to sit back a little bit.
Hang
more.
on, Nikki, just mute yourself, even if you want to comment in a minute. Go on tomorrow, finish what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And just I can see with some calmness, and maybe I'll choose to build where the waves don't come in, but just well, I guess it's a time for observing and data gathering, and trying to keep myself company wherever I am in the process. And it's with some excitement. I feel some excitement as well that there just seemed to be an observer. There just seemed to be an observer, an adult observer, that self that's coming in. And I'm very glad to see that she's here.
I'm just aware of the time. Does that feel okay place to stop tomorrow?
Mhm.
Nikki, did you want to come in, or was that an accident?
You are unmuted.
Was that to me? Sorry.
Yes.
Or tomorrow?
No,
Yeah,
it was
to
for
me.
you.
Okay, thank you. I just had this little comment about that thing is the nature, just because I was going to bring it neatly back to where you started with Mary, the pendulum. That is the nature of the high, or indeed the low, of a pendulum. Our vision narrows, and that's the only perspective we have on the world. We completely forget the whole of the rest of the view exists, i.e., so if you're in a bit of a high, you think, oh, this is it, and it's all you can see, and you can't, none of us can. That's the nature of having a pendulum swing, and it's the use, it's a major use of the tool to sort of somehow brainwash ourselves over years to go, to automatically be able to know, have a little bit of our 1% of our brain that can go, oh, that feeling, it's a bit of a high. Just watch it. Don't just believe, oh, I feel great, so that's forever now. It's like, no. It's just a pendulum swing. And to just notch ourselves down a little bit into boring old humdrum, this is just a bit tedious and hard, but thank God I'm not in the terrible low now. Yeah, that's what I had to say about that.
Yeah, and I was just gonna I was just gonna end with a reminder. It's like, I'm not sure how many months ago we met, but actually you've grasped the tools, the beginnings of using the tools very quickly, and it is a journey, well, you have. I can see Tamara's muted, but she's shaking her head in surprise. Well, because you actually using the basics you have with a lot of dexterity, and it's true of, I mean, she's like me and Nikki's known them for a long time, but Cynthia and Elizabeth too, I notice it. Stacey, you haven't been, I think you do it too, but you haven't been here much recently. So I was more aware of Cynthia and Elizabeth, who you're plucking the tools out when you're talking. You're knowing what tools you're talking about and how they apply to your everyday life situations that you've got. Well, if you use Peter's analogy of someone who starts doing woodwork, they don't become a cabinet maker in the first few months of picking up the tools. And the method is such that you are an apprentice for quite a long time, and that you can create solid, working, practical things with your tools when you can grasp how each one's supposed to be used differently and how they work together to create the, functional objects you're creating. But you're not going to be a cabinet maker or a sculptor like Michelangelo till you have a lot of practice and interchangeability, and practice. So, you're all doing really well in using them intellectually, and that only strengthens. Knowing, attraction to her, like saying what Nicky was just saying about the 1%, where you have to ignore the emotional direction of the low and say, I have to go in the opposite direction. That I think is a bit more than 1%, or you probably couldn't do it. But that's, harnessing the intellectual power of the tool to know what's going on. You can do that with attraction to hurt. It's hard because it's attraction to hurt, memory links, pendulum swing, all happening at the same time. But you can harness that part of your mind to say, uh-oh, it's another one of those devastating attraction to hurt situations. So what's the best thing for me to do now I've already been caught by the wave? You get to the point where you can say, oh, I can feel the waves beginning to crash. You can step back earlier. So I just want you to take comfort from that all of you either already know in some of our cases, or you're getting those muscles, again, those intellectual muscles this time, of learning how to use the tools, and that only gets stronger just as it does with, it's so practical, just as it does with physical tools. It gets stronger if you use them. So we should close there, and we'll do that thing of saying where we are, and if you have something unsaid that you want to say, you can say it as we're closing. And maybe Stacey, you'd like to go first in case you have something you want to say, because I know you didn't get a chance to contribute.
Yeah, I'm Stacey. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I've been meditating 10 minutes a day and going to adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families meetings. And that's been helping a lot with the attraction to hurt and the pendulum swing and stuff like that.
That's great. Do you want to say where you are? I don't think you did.
Las Vegas, Nevada. And there's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? It's about time management, but it talks about the concept of mice know there's not always going to be cheese, so they're always looking for it. But humans think there's going to be cheese forever, and we're always shocked when the cheese runs out.
Fun. And
That's
Tamara, do
it.
you want to go next? Thank you, Stacey. Tamara, do you want to go next?
Am I on? Tamara in San Francisco, and thank you. Yeah, I think this is going to work for a while. The idea of the waves, beach, and the sticks. So,
yeah, well done. Did you hear me, Cynthia? I was inviting you to close out.
Oh, no, you were frozen, I think. I didn't hear you. Or at least you looked frozen from here.
Okay.
And Cynthia, I'm in Kankakee, and I'm envious of everybody who's got nice weather because it snowed last night, and we've had our first snow. I guess it is December, so it's not that big of a deal. I also was very struck, and it actually, Nicky, your contribution about the mail was really helpful to me. And I think it's real hard for me to just trust myself in terms of what I need to do. And I'm always feeling like I haven't done enough. And I think that's instead of just saying, okay, if I'm feeling resistance, I don't have to do it, which is a really hard thing for me to even allow myself. So, or do what I want to do, which is it's very hard. So thank you for that contribution. It's a good reminder. I've been trying to do that with other things like self-care, with sort of paying attention to what I want and when and to not be forcing myself all the time with things. So thank you.
Elizabeth?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm in Eugene, Oregon. What Nicky said about the mail really struck me because I couldn't quite figure out why, but yesterday I sat down and I just really didn't have any desire at all to write. And I didn't push it. And I just felt really good about that. And Nikki managed to put into words why that was a healthy choice not to push then. And I feel like I do write more and better when I haven't been pushing and then I want to write. That's all.
Thank you. Cease.
Yeah, this has been interesting. I'm sorry I missed the first part. I'm reflecting on a book I just accidentally ran across. Now I have to go back and find it. But it was something like 100 things you want to do in your life. It was like, some crazy number of things. The fun thing about it was they said, you're never going to get to do all these things, but just cross them off your list, and find the things that you might want to try. And it seemed like a great idea, that I think sometimes I get stuck and get down and get in a low when I've made some goal that I can't do, that I'm not going to be able to do unless I had a number of lifetimes. So this made sense to me to there's no rule that says I have to learn how to do that, but I could do these other things that would be fun and interesting. And so kind of changing my mind about, I guess I'm thinking about the other stuff because I'm turning in 72 in a few weeks and thinking, what do I want to do for the next 40, 50 years, so I'm joking on that one, but I don't have to stick with things that have been frustrating for me and feel low because of that. I was inspired by Tamara when you were talking, I think it was you talking about writing at a cafe. Is that you? Or
that's Nikki.
Nikki, I'm sorry, I didn't have the visual, but I remember now doing that in Italy and loving it. And I haven't done that, so that was a really nice reminder. So I'm gonna rethink these things that are uplifting. And they said, if you don't like it, just cross it off that list. So anyway, this has been helpful to me to see how I can get stuck in a low about something I don't even need to be stuck about. Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick comment that's an application of the triangle, which it isn't properly in the current manual, but will be in the Pellin textbook that Peter's working on.
Okay.
I'm sure, but just that might be helpful to
kind
of had a bit more information about using the triangle. It's in some of the videos.
Yeah, and it's kind of changing the purpose,
changing the goal. Making the triangle smaller so that you're assessing a smaller goal.
Well, that wasn't exactly what I was saying, but
I know it wasn't exactly what you were saying, but I felt there was a relevance in the triangle about you aiming for things and then getting low. I might have picked it up wrong, but that's what it seemed that that would be valuable to look at again.
Okay, and then my thought was then expanding that triangle. When I made the triangle too low and I couldn't achieve it, then I got into the low.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Is that part of the? Okay.
I don't know. I think maybe we should come back to that. We could always come back to that on one of these Wednesdays. So
love it if we could in one of these meetings. I've been curious to understand the triangle, and so if it's not in the manual, maybe we could work it here.
Sure.
That would be great. Thanks.
I mean, we're quite new to it as well, but I'll do my best. Normally this person doing this goes first about where they are, and I wanted Stacey to have a chance to talk, so I didn't do me. So I'm Mary in Rosarito Beach, and I haven't forgotten Nikki, but I'm letting her go last because of the microphone problem. Nikki, your turn. Have you disappeared, Nikki, or are you there?
No. Stacy.
Stacey's appeared, but where's Nicky gone?
You are unmuted.
Sorry,
Ah.
I pressed the wrong button. I thought you could hear me, and I'd pressed the wrong button. Yeah, about the triangle. I'm really lagging behind about that. I think I need Peter to go over it again. So I'd rather it was brought up for him to teach it again. Actually, maybe that we could. Anyway, I can't. That's all I've got to say about that. So I'm Nicky. I'm in Wimbledon, where instantly it's been raining all day and is going to, predicted to rain for days now. That's why I had a plan for yesterday's last sunshine that I couldn't do because of the parking permit. But it's been really interesting for me anyway. But it's good for me to hear, but get fed back to me that my thing about looking after rejected efforts above all else is inspiring to other people, because when I first learned about it, whenever it was 30 odd years ago, I just knew it was such a big problem to me. And I consciously decided to use that as a tool to protect myself. And I believed at that time that if I just did that really relentlessly for 2 or 3 years, I wouldn't need to do it anymore. And I still have to do it. And it means, now I know things get done that have to get done. And the more important thing of my life changes as over time as I need to. But the thing, I'm lagging behind. The last thing now is things that I would much prefer to be done, but that don't need to be done and that aren't life changing. So I live in bloody chaos. It's really annoying. Anyway, who knows? I don't know. When I find a solution to that, I'll tell everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, well, goodbye everybody, and wish me luck with my virtual book launch tomorrow, because that's
Oh,
only
good
3
luck.
weeks.
When? Tomorrow?
Mary.
What
Good
time
luck.
is it?
It's only really for Americans. Can you mute, Nikki, so I can just say this bit?
Sorry.
Yeah, so in England it's 1:30 in the morning, so people can watch it on Facebook Live if they're interested. And it's 5:30 to 7 Pacific time. So it's 8:30 to 10? Is that 7? Yeah, 8:30 to 10 for Cease, and 7:30 to 9 for Cynthia. But it is on Facebook Live afterwards. It's a Zoom meeting that's also going on Facebook Live. And the details for registering are on John Guillermin the book inside Facebook, and then you go to Eventbrite to actually register.
Oh, thanks for reminding.
Yeah.
I registered, but I may not be able to attend, or I may not be able to attend all of it.
No,
But
it's
I
fine.
registered so I could watch it on Facebook Live later.
Yeah. That's on Zoom, it means that you can ask questions and you can interact and stuff like that. And on Facebook Live, I think you're more just watching it, I believe. Don't know how much. You might be able
There's usually a chat,
yeah.
but you
I
would
don't
need somebody to be watching the
yeah,
chat, and
I'll
that
mention
might
it
not
to
be
the
possible.
person who's watching the Zoom chat to see if she thinks she can manage the Facebook Live chat as well. Okay, and if anybody's or has got a copy of the book, I don't know, in this small little group, you can enter into a raffle.
That'd be cool.
Kindle Fire 8 is the raffle prize.
That's a good prize.
Good prize. It is. So anyway, we'll see you on Sunday, and
I'll
maybe
see
some
you
of you
tomorrow.
which would be nice. So bye everyone.
Bye.
All right. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Bye.